A very good evening and welcome. This is News First Weekend Prime Time News. I'm Ramesh Bandara. Let's start off with a look at your headlines tonight.
I will never breach public trust. President Mahinda Rajapaksa addresses a rally in Navalapitiya. Common opposition candidate promises to continue with the current development program in keeping with the highest standard. The opposition leader reveals his objective at the presidential elections.
Maithripala අනාගතයක් දෙන්නවත් මට අනාගතයක් දෙන්නවත් මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ පරාජය කරන්න බෑ පරාජය කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම ඒ අනාගතය දෙන්නයි එකතු වෙන්නේ.
A number of local authority politicians cross over.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that he has no intention of breaching the trust placed in him by the people of this country. Speaking at a rally held in Navalapitiya, the president noted that the presidential election would be one that would decide the fate of the nation.
The second campaign rally organized to ensure the victory of President Mahinda Rajapaksa at the presidential election was held in Navalapitiya today. The president received a raucous welcome from the crowd when he arrived at the rally.
None of the brothers were brought into politics by me. They were brought in by Madam Bandaranaike. Even I was brought in by Madam Bandaranaike. Back then, she called the Honourable Speaker Chamal Rajapaksa and asked him to enter politics. He refused, and when he refused, they gave it to me. Then she called him again. She told him to contest at the by-election. That time, he resigned from his job and joined. Basil was the party secretary, or assistant secretary. I got 27 votes and Basil got 97 votes. That is how he came into the fray in 77 from the Mulpirikala electorate. It was given by her and not by me. That is why we respect her to this day. That is why her portrait hangs in our homes to this day. That is the respect we have for her. We do not forget the past, so do not throw stones from glass houses. That is all I have to say. This will be an occasion that will decide the fate of the nation. It must go to a trusted, responsible and accountable person.
The president also spoke on the development program.
We gave infrastructure facilities to the village. 98% of the houses in Sri Lanka have access to electricity. There is only 2% left, and I have instructed that they be given electricity as well before the 31st. I can say to you fearlessly that the only country in the region that will provide electricity 24 hours a day to 100% of the country will be Sri Lanka. You will never be able to develop a country if you only target elections. We must undertake the necessary tasks to ensure the welfare of the majority of the people. There can be no social injustice against any person. That is why we have electricity. That is why the roads in the country have been built. How long does it take you to go to Colombo on these roads? It takes 4 hours. But in a few more days, you will be able to go to Colombo in 1 hour and 15 minutes. Some people want a stagnant society. I want a progressive society.
Several MPs and ministers from the United People's Freedom Alliance also addressed the rally.
There was a slight tickle that we felt over the past few days. Why? Secretary Sirisena suddenly left us. The Central Committee met, and at the Central Committee meeting, the President's name was proposed by Minister Maithripala de Silva. The proposal was seconded, and our Sirisena started applauding.
Everywhere there is talk of hoppers and talk of coffee. If you eat hoppers, there is one result, and if you drink coffee, there is another result. The hopper is cooked in the pan. The batter is poured into the pan, the oil is poured into the pan, it becomes tasty in the pan. But at times, the hopper forgets the pan. Similarly, our Maithripala Sirisena, who became a tasty dish bathed in oil and milk, forgot our President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Sarath Fonseca, who received the strength and support of everyone there, was defeated by 1.8 million votes. I wish to say to you that Sirisena, who does not have anyone's support and is barely limping along their side, will be defeated by 250 million votes.
Speaking at a campaign rally held in Kurunegala yesterday, opposition common candidate Maithripala Sirisena pledged to implement the current development program in keeping with a higher standard. The leaders of several opposition political parties participated in this rally.
Maithripala Sirisena received a raucous welcome when he arrived at the campaign rally held at the Udualpola Public Sports Ground in Kurunegala.
Certain people who were close to President Mahinda Rajapaksa sung his praises and called him their great king. We did not do that. President Mahinda Rajapaksa may have been led to believe that he should become a king in truth. Certain kings are extremely stubborn and have strict regimes, while there are certain kings who are dutiful. While Mahinda Rajapaksa may have forgotten this, because we could not forget it, people like Minister Rajitha and I fought against it from within the government. We wish to state to you that the present political wave in this country will wash away the ruthless regime, the wastage and corruption of Mahinda Rajapaksa on the 8th of January.
Maithripala Sirisena also spoke on his future course of action.
We will not put a stop to any of the development projects that are underway. I must say to you that we will be more transparent and work to a higher standard to accomplish 3 times the amount of work, the money that is being spent. Mahinda Rajapaksa's miracle will end on the 8th of January. The government that we establish will give true respect to the war heroes. Within the 100-day program of our government, we will issue the new circulars that will enable any person in the police service who has completed 22 years of service to leave the department if they wish to. We will give the police officers the chance to have a vision for their lives. It is evident that the rule of law has collapsed and you are aware of this. As soon as a phone call is made from Temple Trees to Halsdorf, the verdict can be changed in any court case or the judge has to go home. We must rescue the country from this situation.
Several opposition political leaders also addressed the gathering.
The
SLFP says that Maitri has been put here as a puppet for me to take over power. If I wanted to take over power, then what is the point in doing all of this? I could have run for president myself. We have not united today to give a future to Maithripala Sirisena or myself or to defeat Mahinda Rajapaksa. He must be defeated, but we have united to give you a future. And I say that we will give you that future.
The major tremors in the government have given us a river of people. The swan is floating on this river of public support. When making a party victorious, it is not enough for only people in that party to do the work. It is not enough for only party activists and members to do the work. A government is a government that must govern the entire nation.
A sum of 68 billion rupees has been allocated for the first phase of the Hambantota port. Whose money is this? It is your money that has been stolen. There are no planes at the Hambantota airport, only baby peacocks. 400,000 jobs could have been created at the very least for the unemployed young men and women. They could have increased wages by 10,000 rupees at the very least instead of the pitiful increments they have granted. We want to bring about clean governance. We want to end this corruption and take the money that is going to a single family and put it in your pockets.
I'm at a place where I can do what I think and say. Basil Rajapaksa said, Rajitha, it is you and Vimal that will handle the campaign this time. Vimal Veerawansa may be able to say something that is not in his head, but I cannot do that. They say one thing and do something else. That is what has happened to our Vasu as well. That is what has happened to Dew. Dew told me that he is waiting for an SLFP faction to break away.
එයා සියදී හානි කරගන්න ඕන මේක ගන්න. යකෝ සියදී හානි කරගන්න ඕන. මැරෙන්න ලෑස්තිලා.
If you are prepared to die, then come with us and change the presidential system.
We are people who have been bludgeoned by a cruel war that lasted 30 years. Now that the war is over, a far graver situation has arisen. There is a fear that the government may be listening into your phone calls when you criticize them. I would not be surprised if it is so. Not only you, even ministers in parliament are facing a similar situation. This is the situation in the country today.
The United People's Freedom Alliance states that the election campaign of the common opposition is based on the mentality of adding up members of the ruling party to support them. Representatives of the UPFA expressed these views at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
The strength of the common candidate is based on the support rendered to him by the government ministers and the provincial ministers. Now let us think that the preferential votes Hirunika will receive after crossing over will be 141,000. They are counting those to that side. Solangarachi obtained 43,000 preferential votes in Kolonnava. They are counting those also to that side. On the other side, Tisatanaika and Jayantha Katagoda, when they make calculations that they did not contest, they will say this and sum them up. This is usually the standard of Montessori.
මේක සාමාන්‍ය මොන්ටිසෝරි වැඩක්. අනුරාධපුර රැස්වීමට
It has been reported on websites that the crowd that gathered at the Anuradhapura meeting was brought by us from different provinces. I state with responsibility that the crowds that gathered are from electorates of the Anuradhapura district. Sirisena's election campaign was held in Minuwangoda. I have the video footage of it. If you count the number of heads, there were only 1,000 individuals present at the meeting.
10කට වගේ ආසන්න ප්‍රමාණයක් තමයි ඒ රැස්වීමවල හිටියේ.
The Chief Minister stated that Udaya Gangaram was invited to accept his minister post once again. When he agreed to support us, his ministry was vacant and I was acting in that position. I made a request. I told him it was difficult for me to do all of this and to please take his ministry back. He clearly rejected that proposal. Even today at this media briefing, I asked him to take over this position. But since he has taken a policy decision, we cannot influence him. If Maithripala Sirisena wins the presidential election, he will be taking over the most powerful executive presidential position in the world. He says that no matter who is there, he will fulfill his promises to establish good governance. I am truly saddened at the political knowledge of these people. Sri Lanka does not have the most powerful executive presidential position. Sri Lanka has a partial presidential system. The president can exercise his powers as long as his party has the majority in parliament. If parliament is angered, then the president will become a president only in name. Gangaram also commented on reports that political decisions had been taken for money. Social media networks have reported that I agreed to join the government because they agreed to write off my debts amounting to 800 million rupees. On one hand, I was happy when they said 800 million and I wondered if I was that valuable. I wish to propose a small competition on the sidelines of the presidential election. If you can prove that the government has written off my debts at any bank in Sri Lanka, be it 50 million or 800 million, then I will give the same amount of money to the person who discovers this and can produce evidence. It is the biggest competition in Sri Lanka.
The representatives of the New Democratic Front, the party from which Maithripala Sirisena is contesting for the forthcoming presidential election, charged that the government is not only misusing state property but has also embarked on a campaign of intimidation against opposition factions. They elaborated on this point at a media briefing that was held in Colombo today.
It is very clear now that the law is controlled by the executive according to his own whims. The state institutions in all sectors are being handled towards his victory. We are disappointed to say that even though they say that there are no more bomb blasts and that carcasses are not being burnt on the side of the road and that this country is in a very stable and peaceful place, fear and suspicion has come about in every individual's mind. When we try to open up a campaign office or when we try to organize a rally of Maithripala Sirisena, there is a major state manipulation against individuals and organizations on a scale never seen before. If this continues, hopes of democracy will fade away and insurrections will arise like we had in the past.
පසුගිය දවස්වල මිත්‍රවරුනි
We observed, my friends, that 34 acts of violence have taken place in the recent past. Amongst these 34 cases, 10 bombings have been reported. A major campaign to instill fear in the public is taking place. This campaign seems to be organized. We have made observations, especially that the main activists of the United National Party in the rural areas are subjected to this in a bid to bring them down mentally. Hirunika, who received the highest number of votes in the Colombo district, is facing death threats. Our comrade Solangarachi, who also received a high number of votes, is also facing death threats. My friends, I too have such threats. It is easy for anyone to bomb us or kill us. We do not have police officers protecting us. We are ready to sacrifice our lives for the victory of Maithripala Sirisena. My friends, when I go home today, my life could end from a bullet or from a bomb. I tell my friends that if I am to die in that manner, do not bury my body. Keep it till the 8th and take it to all the rallies.
මේ වෙනකොට තවම TN එක කාටද සහාය දෙන්නේ කියලා කියලා නැහැ. ඔබතුමාලා එතුමාගේ සහාය මේ ලබා ගැනීම සඳහා කටයුතු කරමින් පවතින.
This is not a presidential election that is targeted at resolving problems that are unique to the Tamil people or the Sinhala people. It is not a presidential election targeting the resolution of problems unique to the Muslim community. It is a presidential election that can end the fear, suspicion, thievery and corruption that is common to all people, be they Sinhala, Tamil or Muslim. It is an election that can establish democracy and good governance. The support of all people is needed for this.
ජාතික හෙළුමත් එක්ක අස්සම් කරපු ගිවිසුම මේ වෙනකන් එළියට දාලා ඉන්නේ නැහැ කියලා ගන්න චෝදනා කරා.
We are in a clear agreement and there are no false promises. We will abolish the powers of the executive presidency and create a democratic environment. We will produce this through the policy statement of Maithripala Sirisena.
Welcome back to the news. On our developing story tonight, a number of local authority politicians crossed over today as well.
United National Party member of the Ambelipiti Pradesh Sabha, Jayavira Maithripala, crossed over to render support to President Mahinda Rajapaksa. According to the Presidential Media Unit, a group of 25 persons, including UNP Janabala secretaries, branch committee chairman and branch committee secretaries, met with the President at the President's residence in Kandy. Meanwhile, member of the Ambelipiti Urban Council, Vijitha G. Punchiheva, crossed over to render support to the common opposition candidate Maithripala Sirisena. He made this revelation at a media briefing convened this morning.
Public representatives are mere puppets now. A few individuals are using force and controlling their henchmen according to their own whims. As a communist and a normal and just individual, I cannot bear this any longer.
Deputy Chairman of the Padavishri Pura Pradesh Sabha, Manil Karunaratne, and a member of the Pradesh Sabha, HP Dharmakirti, also pledged support to Maithripala Sirisena.
Let's now take a look at some of the other views expressed on the political stages at various events and rallies.
The son gets an aeroplane for his birthday. When we were small, how much of a struggle was it to buy even a toy aeroplane? In a country where parents cannot buy their children a toy car, their sons are getting aeroplanes for their birthdays. The son's girlfriend gets a calf born to a mare from the Buckingham Palace stables in England for her birthday. They go from Colombo to Norelia by plane to ride the horse and then come to Colombo for lunch. Whose is all of this wealth? Does it not belong to our people?
Are the people of this country confused for them to hand over this country to that confused coalition? The UNPs are confused and looking on today. Chandrika has hijacked the election campaign. The UNP has fallen down the slope and has been confined to a corner. It started with Tissatta Nayaka. When it ends, only Ranil Wickramasinghe will be left.
Ranil Wickramasinghe mahathaya vitarai.
Vimal Weerawangshe goya. Then the man known as Vimal Weerawangshe is showing the pangs of agony now as he witnesses the shadow of defeat. He keeps ranting that the UNP will not form a government and that it will be Sirisena who comes out on top. I wish to say to the vitriolic Vimal Veeravangsa that after the 8th, we will have to look into the houses that he has purchased. We will have to look into where he got the money to buy the shirts he wears. We need to look into where he got the money that he is spending now.
We will have to call this Her Hatred Part 2. Chandrika Bandaranaike is the lead actress. The T-boy is Ranil Wickramasinghe. That is why I always say, do not get caught to a woman's hatred.
At most times, we have put forward a green colour leader as the presidential candidate. Now we have been made to lend our support to Maithripala Sirisena. The time has come for the United National Party to rise again. The machine needs to be greased and oiled. There is a need to affix some new parts to it. That is why we have renovated it with Maithripala Sirisena, Chandrika Kumaratunga, Ratanathera, Champika and others. And we are pushing the engine forward together with everyone to destroy the common enemy.
What is the latest wave in the country? Hoppers and black coffee. Now, I for one do not eat hoppers and neither do I drink black coffee. Do not serve it to me again. A certain secretary was with our president all night until morning and he ate not one but 2 egg hoppers. Early in the morning he went over to Ranil Wickramasinghe. Hoppers are very popular but we will not eat it or serve it any longer. We do not know where the person who eats it will end up in the morning.
The government had 7 container loads of mudslinging posters prepared thinking that Ranil Wickramasinghe would contest. They had made preparations to screen mudslinging films in all the villages at all their rallies. This entrenched wall has been shaken with the arrival of Maithripala Sirisena.
UNP parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva promises that the government that would be established by the common opposition will increase the wages of public sector employees by 10,000 rupees. He made this statement at an event held in Attidiya, Ratmalana.
The event was organised to make a donation of chairs and tents to funeral assistance committees and sports clubs in Attidiya, Ratmalana. I promise before the people gathered here today that the Unity Coalition government that we will establish next month will take the necessary steps to mitigate the people's struggle to live. As we promised, we will increase the wages of state sector employees by 10,000 rupees, in addition to the increment granted through this budget. We are bound to do all of this for the state sector employees through our Unity Coalition government.
Now, the Election Secretariat says that 50,000 postal voting applications of state sector employees who will be on election duty at the forthcoming presidential elections have been rejected.
Additional Elections Commissioner U. Amardas stated that approximately 540,000 applications have been accepted. The Additional Elections Commissioner added that the casting of postal votes for the presidential elections will be held on the 23rd and 24th of this month.
The Hunupitiya Gangaram Vihare in Colombo, the local temple where the MTV MBC head office 2 is located. Today marks the 71st birthday of the chief incumbent of the Gangarame, Venerable Galapodanyani Saratero, who has lived at the Vihara and committed himself to the service of the people. Tonight, Newsfirst takes a look at the service rendered to the Sasana by the Venerable Thera, who is known all across the country as Podihamduru.
Born on the 14th of December 1943 in the village of Galaboda in Mathura, Venerable Galapodanyani Saratne was ordained as a monk and entered the Hunupitiya Gangaram Raja Mahaviharya in 1954. At a time when there were no Peraharas to speak of in the Colombo city, the Venerable Thera was a pioneer in establishing the Nawam Mahaperahara in 1978. In 1978, the Venerable Thera established the Sri Jinaratana Technical College to provide self-employment training to school leavers, and in 1979, he was the pioneer in the construction of the hallowed ground of the Upasampada of bhikkhus from all 3 sects. His service to the Sasana was not limited to Colombo alone. He took the fore in constructing a rest hall which could serve 3,000 devotees at once, and also took steps to provide water facilities to all the Pirivenas in the island. Religious observances were held at the Gangarama Viharya today to mark the 71st birthday of Venerable Galapodanyani Saratne with the participation of the Defence Secretary.
පහුගිය කාලවකවානුව තුල අපි දැක්ක පොඩි හාමුදුරන්ගේ විවිධ උපන් දිනවලදී
Over the past several years, we have seen how the bhikkhus have come to mark the birthday of Podi Hamuduruwa. Last year, the bhikkhus came to the Kaluthara Bodhiya. Scholarships were given to these bhikkhus. Special scholarships were given to bhikkhus engaged in Oriental studies for them to learn the Eastern languages. Creating a person is much harder than constructing a building. So assisting in the betterment of a bhikkhu and allowing him space to grow is a major social service. Even in terms of the Sasana, it is truly a great meritorious deed.
හැටියටයි අපි දකින්නේ සාසනික පැත්තෙන් බැලුවත් මහා විශාල පුණ්‍ය කර්මයක්.
A group of Russian experts were to arrive in the island today to carry out an investigation into the Hokandara plane crash. 4 airmen perished in Friday's tragic crash.
Air Force spokesperson Wing Commander Haritha Senaratne stated that the experts are from the Russian company that overhauled the Antonov AN-32 in Russia this year. The crash site has been cleared and repair work has commenced on the homes in the vicinity that were damaged in the crash. The final rites of squadron leader A.M. Vasanta Abhivardhana were carried out today. The final rites of co-pilot Flight Lieutenant A.A. Danukotharanga Amaratunga, who was 29 years old at the time of his demise, were carried out in Kudaudua in Moragahena. The final rites of Corporal Amilanuwan Vijayaratna were observed at the Potanegama Cemetery in Anuradhapura.
And it's time now for Action TV.
Last Thursday, Action TV revealed that local authorities have been taking steps to destroy the only remaining wooded area within the Anuradhapura city limits. The opposition leader of the Anuradhapura Municipal Council charged that although the council has begun the groundwork for some sort of complex, the Municipal Council has not approved such a construction, adding that a project report in this regard has not been submitted as yet. The Anuradhapura mayor, who responded to these accusations, revealed to Action TV that a daycare complex is being constructed at this location, adding that funds amounting to 25 million rupees had been handed over to the Municipal Council by the Ministry of Child Development and Women's Affairs for this project.
මේ භූමිය නගර සභාව සතු භූමිය.
This plot of land belongs to the Municipal Council. The Divisional Secretary, UDA, as well as the Mayor of Anuradhapura are on the planning committee for this project. We selected this plot of land after discussing it within the committee. If such a planning committee had approved this project, then there should be no dispute on the ownership of the plot of land which is to be utilized. However, according to the acting divisional secretary of the Nuwaragampalat East area, this plot of land belongs to the divisional secretariat. There are many plots of land within the Anuradhapura city limits which are being controlled by the municipal council. They have requested us to legally hand over ownership of these lands. We received a request to transfer ownership of this particular plot of land in question as well. However, ownership has not been transferred as yet. Until such time, the land belongs to the state. We have not approved anyone to use this land or to cut down trees within it. Thereby, the felling of trees within this plot of land by the municipal council can be considered as an illegal act. We cut off several branches from a tamarind tree and we removed 2 trees. The wood from these trees are usually used as firewood. However, these visuals bear testament that more than 2 trees have been cut down. According to a letter sent to Action TV by the acting divisional secretary, a total of 8 trees had been felled. If the municipal council begins this project, for which a sum of 25 million rupees has been allocated, in such an arbitrary manner, then how can the public have confidence that the funds allocated for this project would be spent in a transparent and effective manner? Minister of Child Development and Women's Affairs, this is over to you.
On to business news tonight. Earnings from minor export crops have dropped significantly during the first 10 months of this year.
Official government data indicates that earnings from minor export crops including cinnamon and pepper dropped by 27% in the first 10 months of 2014. Earnings from the minor export crop sector in the same period last year stood at $249.5 million, with the figure dropping to $212.9 million this year. In October alone, income from minor export crops fell by 40%. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka cites a continuous decline in production as the reason for the drop in income.
The International Cricket Council imposed a fine on Kumar Sangakkara today for breaching the ICC Code of Conduct.
The communique issued by the ICC states that Sri Lanka's Kumar Sangakkara has been fined for breaching the ICC Code of Conduct during the 6th One-Day International against England in Pallekele. The incident happened at the beginning of the 34th over in Sri Lanka's innings when Sangakkara got involved in a prolonged discussion with the on-field umpire, disputing the umpire's decision to not allow Sri Lanka to take the batting power play at that time. 2 balls later, following the dismissal of Tilakaratne Dilshan, Sangakkara turned to Oxenford and made another inappropriate comment. After the conclusion of the match, Sangakkara admitted the offence and accepted the sanction proposed by match referee David Boone. While imposing the penalty, Boone took into account Sangakkara's previous good record and the fact that he apologised to the umpire at the change of innings.
Tonight on Sports First investigative journalism segment, The Bitter Truth, we take a look back at 10 issues highlighted on the segment over the past year, which are yet to be addressed.
One of the targets of the Ministry of Sports has been to build up sports complexes at a cost of millions of rupees at the provincial and district level, allegedly for the promotion of sports. However, the various promises that have been made by sports authorities to renovate the sports ground of the Wallala A. Ratnayaka Central College, the only sports school governed by a provincial council, are yet to come to fruition. Another broken promise was the promise made to increase the food allowance to the school to address the food shortage faced by sportsmen and women at the school. The synthetic turf at the Nandimitra Ekanaik International Hockey Stadium in Maithripala, which is governed by the Central Provincial Council, is still in a dilapidated state. 9 years have passed since the synthetic turf should have been relaid, but neither the Maithripala Municipal Council nor the Ministry of Sports has shown any interest in undertaking this task. A similar fate has befallen the synthetic track at the Sugatadasa Stadium in Colombo less than a year since it was laid. While the synthetic track is currently unusable, the authorities are yet to take steps to charge compensation from the parties responsible for this farce. While the chairman of the Sugatadasa Sports Complex has also accepted on several occasions that the indoor stadium too is in need of renovation, no action has been taken on this issue as yet. While the president of the Punjab Cricket Association, I.S. Bindra, charged that Sri Lanka cricket had, under pressure from the Indian Cricket Board, suppressed a report on an incident where an Indian cricketer had spent the night with the representative of an Indian bookmaker at his hotel room in 2010, the results of the investigation into this incident remain a secret. Sports authorities have also failed to conduct the election of office bearers for the Badminton Association of Sri Lanka as instructed by the World Badminton Federation. On the 5th of this month, the election was postponed to next year on the instructions of the Sports Minister and the National Olympic Committee. The Sports Ministry has also failed to appoint the National Badminton Selection Committee since June this year. Authorities are also dragging their feet on the matter of holding an election for the office bearers of the Netball Association, which has been governed by an interim committee since March. Sports authorities have yet failed to amend the sports law in the country in line with the Olympic Convention, as instructed by the International Olympic Committee. The IOC issued this order on the 27th of November 2013. When burning issues ranging from the condition of sports infrastructure to sports administration and the welfare of sportsmen and women are neglected in this way, can the current time be hailed as a golden era for sports development in Sri Lanka? Whose failure is responsible for the continued delays in resolving these problems? Open for debate.
Well, that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Ramesh Iruyal Bandara. Good night.